Hey, what's going on, Internet? We're back with another deck tech. This time, we're going to do a little bit of a different take on Jund, mid-range, whatever you want to call it. But it's going to give you a heads up, there are no Plocka Worms or Runescar Demons or Terra Stompers or anything of that sort in here. So let's go check it out. Hopefully I don't ramble for 3,000 hours like I've been doing the past couple videos. But once this is done loading, again, we'll just do the quick run through of what's all in the deck and then try and just give a brief discussion about each one. Alright, we got 4 Viscera Draggers, 1 Shadowborn Demon, 1 Rescue from the Underworld, 1 Flesh to Dust, 1 Sheoldred, Whispering 1 Banefire, 2 Shocks, 2 Goblin Rabblemaster, 2 Resounding Thunder, 2 Ogre Battledriver, 1 Stormbreath Dragon, 1 Inferno Titan, 4 Satyr Wayfinders, 1 Vengevince, 2 Mycoloths, 3 Sprouting Thrinax, 3 Augur Spree, 1 Treasured Find, and 3 Ground Assault. Okay, so before we begin, why even play Jund? Well, for one, you have access to most of the best removal spells in the game. Probably the best removal spell in the game in Ground Assault. You get to play all 3. I personally love Augur Spree. +4/-4 is, no joke, so gives you access to that. But really, I wanted to build around this lizard, this guy, Sprouting Thrinax. I wanted to give him a good home. So really, the deck started with him, and I just kind of built around him as I came up with what I was going to run, what I wasn't going to run, and whatnot. Okay, so... And also, let's go through the lands. We're running 24 lands, 5 swamps, 6 mountains, 5 forests, a jungle shrine, 2 crumbling necropolis, 3 savage lands, and 2 frontier bivouacs. Since we have all the tri-lands, there's really no use in running gates anymore unless you're running cerulean gatekeepers or ogre gatekeepers. So, but there still is a reason to run gates, and that's so you don't get confused the fuck out. You don't confuse the fuck out of yourself. But I guess on the flip side, you're confusing the fuck out of your opponents as well. Anyway, just think of this Jungle Shrine as a Ghoul Guild Gate. We're just mostly focused on the Jund colors. So that's basically a red-green land, so there's 1 of those. And there's 2 more red-green lands. So we got 3 red-green lands and just 2 red-black lands. And then, we have... Try and fit the blues in there. So we can, bluff counterspell or whatever. But, you also want to get 1 white in there, so your opponent's like, oh shit, you could have Reprisal, you could have this, that, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, okay. So, like I said, the whole reason to build this is Jund is you have access to all that great removal and to build around Sprouting Thrinax. So let's actually just take a different route and go over all the removal. This 1 Flesh to Dust is just a catch-all just in case, you can't get something with Banefire or Shock or Resounding Thunder or Augur Spree or Ground Assault for whatever reason. Like, you're stuck at 5 mana and you can take down a 6 power dude or whatever. So that's just kind of our get out of jail free cards. You also have Tribute to Hunger for that, but you don't want to run Tribute to Hunger in a metagame full of tokens and young pyromancers and tolerance and all that shit. Spiders. I just don't think Tribute is just genuinely awful. Even in the life game deck I ran last time, it wasn't really that great. Yeah, 1 Banefire, so, sorcery speed, but can also act as a finisher later on in the game. Especially against control decks that want to counter everything. So just 1 of those, because of the sorcery. 2 Shocks, because we want to deal with early things like Goblin Rabblemaster, or Mentor of the Meek, True Fire Paladin, Talorant, et al. And does it all for 1 single red mana. We have 2 Resounding Thunders. Like I said, we're running a Jund shell, so we're not really splashing anything. It's mostly red. It's a majority red, but I'd say maybe, 60% red, maybe even 50. Yeah, 50% red, 25 black, 25 green. Anyways, I don't like to max out on these because, to get to the cycling, that is 8 mana, and we're not running any cultivates in this. we're relying on our Wayfinders, sorry, over here, to fix our mana, but we're not depending on any kind of ramp. So that's why, you know, we're not going the Runescar Demon Palaka Worm route. I mean, it's still pretty reasonable with the amount of removal we have. And, you know, kind of, most of the time, we'll draw you a land when you play him. That we can get to our, you know, 8, 5, and 6 drops. Anyways, back to this. This is 8. You're not going to hit this every game. But it's nice to have. I don't want to max out on it. I think, personally, that Augur Spree is better. But as the game goes longer, this can actually just win you a game with the cycling ability. There's also a lot of shit this can't hit, especially, you know, the tricolor dudes like Thoktar and Warmonk. Can't hit Brimaz unless you get all the way to 8. So I like having more Augur Sprees than Resounding Thunders if I'm going to play Jund. So we're only going to run 2 Thunders and 3 Sprees. And also, you know, I'm sure a lot of you know this. It's +4 or -4. It's not -4, -4. So, you know, if you had a Mycoloth at 8/1 token, it'll be a 6/6. So you can actually buff this to a 10/2 if, you know, you think the coast is clear. Same with Titan. Inferno Titan, 10/2. And Sheoldred, 10/2. Shadowborn Demon, 9/2. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't come up too often, but it might. And what other removal spells we have? Inferno Titan himself, when he comes into play, whenever he attacks, you get a little Arc Lightning, so 3 damage. So sort of a pseudo removal spell. The Shadowborn Demon, kind of like Sorcery Speed Flush of Dust, that leaves a 5/6 flyer behind. It's kind of a removal spell. And finally, the Almighty Ground Assault. Like I said, I mean, it's still going to be great, but just remember, we're not running any Cultivates, so there may be times you get stuck on, I don't know, maybe you can only hit for 3 or 4. You're not generally going to, you know, be doing 6 or 7 with this. Alright. So, for our 2 drops, we have our Wayfinder to fix our mana. We are running 8 Tri-lands, or really 3 Tri-lands, 5 Guild Gates. So, but, you know, we don't have any triple mana cost. It's just all going to be, you know, double green, double red, or double black. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about what to fetch. And then our other 2 drops, besides the removal spells, we have the 1 Treasured Find, which if we're going to be playing with Wayfinders, like here's I wouldn't even say a sub-theme, maybe a sub-sub-theme, a sub-graveyard sub-theme. So, you know, we dump stuff. Invariably, we're going to dump stuff we may need into the grave with Wayfinder. So, you know, we'll run a 1-of Treasured Find, you know, get back that Sheoldred or whatever. Or, where is it? The 1 Rescue from the Underworld. Get back creatures. Usually, most of the time, like when I first started this, I played with all 3 Treasured Finds. And I'd say like 90% of the time I was getting back creatures anyways. And usually that creature was a Ogre Battledriver. So I actually just went down to 2 Treasured Finds, and then eventually I went down to 1 Treasured Find, and went for a Rescue of the Underworld, since most of the time the creature we wanted to get back into play was the Battledriver. So you can get that into play right away, and the creature it comes back with will get the Battledriver buff. Alright, so... And then instead of running Elvish Visionaries, which is, you know, 1/1, draw your random card, I'd rather run these guys. You know, if you have nothing to do on turn 2, but you have one of these guys, you can just cycle them and draw a random card. And eventually, you know, you can cash them in for, you know, 3 hasty damage with this Unearth ability, or 5 damage with the Ogre Battledriver. And, you know, if you've got nothing else going on turn 4, like, generally, the 3/3 body for 4 is going to be better than just a random card. So, don't be afraid to just hardcast one of these guys. It's still a 3/3. They still have to, you know, get through it, or, you know, hold the fort down for a little bit until the real big monsters come out. And then, you know, you get to use it again when it goes to the graveyard, as long as it doesn't get Anger of the Gods away. Speaking of Anger of the Gods, you can see all the 3 toughness, 2 toughness, 3 toughness, 1 toughness, 3 toughness, 3 toughness. We are not going to run Anger of the Gods. I think we should generally be able to keep up with the token decks. you know, that, I mean, Triplicate Spirits is a problem. But as far as gumming up the ground, we should be able to gum up the ground real good, and then take out their, you know, key guys that buff all their tokens, like the Phantom Generals, the Mentors, the Selesnya Evangels, the actual Captain of the Watch, and whatnot. So, I mean, yeah, there is a little bit of a small weakness to Triplicate Spirits. And if you find yourself getting hit by a bunch of Triplicate Spirits, like you just see it all the time, I mean, find room for a Spark Mage in here. I don't know, if it were me, I'd probably drop a Mycoloth. I mean, the second Mycoloth is probably where I would start cutting stuff. So yeah, if you're seeing a lot of little tokens in the sky that you can't deal with, little 1/1s in the sky, then I don't know, you can try and sneak a Spark Mage in here. But personally, I'm not too worried about that. So 3 drops. Well, we have the Rabble. Now you can make use of his tokens if they live with, you know, Rescue, Mycoloth, or you just do damage. But, I mean, he's good enough. I mean, they have to answer him. He can just run away with the game on his own unless you're facing down a Brimaz or a Rox Warmonk or something. You know, it's got to be answered, especially, you know, on an empty board. Like, he'll just take over very quickly. So the other 3 drops we have, mostly going to be removal spells, 2 Resounding Thunders. The 3 Thrinax. Okay, let's talk about Thrinax. So I love this guy. I've been playing duels since the beginning. He was in the Jund deck in 2009. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you take your car into a mechanic, you know, thinking from your opponent's point of view, they solved the problem, the 3/3 Thrinax. Now they're left with 3 little problems afterwards, 3 1/1s, unless they anger him away. So it's kind of like a reverse mechanic, sort of. You know, you take your car in, they fix a problem you took in, and they have like 3 other big problems for you. Well, this is like the opposite of that. They take care of Thrinax, and they're left with 3 other little problems. Now, especially, you know, you get a Battledriver in play. Generally, you know, depending on if your opponent's tapped out or not, like the correct play is just to find a way to pop your own Thrinax and get 9 hasty power on the board. You know, if you go Thrinax, Battledriver into Mycoloth, that's pretty disgusting, you know. Or you can Inferno Titan your own Mycoloth, own Thrinax. You can even Shadowborn your own Thrinax. So, you know, the Shadowborn's going to come in as a 7/6. And then you're going to get 9 power from the Thrinax, plus the Battledriver attacking itself if you get to that. And also, you know, even you go Thrinax into Battledriver. Well, let's see. You can go Wayfinder, Thrinax, Battledriver, main phase, Rescue on Thrinax, getting back something you may have milled with the Wayfinder. You know, it could be a Stormbreath Dragon, Sheoldred, Shadowborn, whatever. And so that'll crack your Thrinax as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. And also, you know, pretty good, fairly good defender. I mean, a 3/3 for 3, that's still good stats to be attacking with. And he's basically the reason I built this shell around him. A great thing to eat with Mycoloth. Generally with the Mycoloths, you only want to eat one thing. Like, you don't want to get too greedy. Like, let's say I go Wayfinder into Thrinax, into removal spell, into Mycoloth. Generally, I'm just going to use the Mycoloth to eat the Wayfinder. Like, I don't really want to pop my Thrinax unless I'm going to get a shit ton of damage out of it. Like, you generally want your opponent to pop it for you. Unless, you know, you're winning at the end. So, but I want to get too greedy. Like, you know, you don't want to eat a Wayfinder and a Thrinax and then just find this thing bounced or whatever. I mean, this thing is always going to eat a Reprisal no matter what. I don't know, depending on what deck you're seeing, I mean, you could eat a Thrinax with it. I mean, if the Thrinax is all you have, then yeah, hell yeah, fucking eat it with the Mycoloth. But, like, you know, if you, like I said, if you have a Wayfinder and a Thrinax, like, I would generally err on the side of caution and just eat the Wayfinder. I mean, if they don't deal with it, it's still a 6/6 that casts a Krenko's command every turn, for the most part, except they're green Saproling, so that's generally going to be pretty good. These are all our 3 drops. We talked about the Augur sprees already. Yeah, so 4 drops. How about our 4 drops? Like I said, it's perfectly fine. You know, if you have 4 mana and you have one of these, just hard cast them, man. The 3/3 body is generally going to be better than a random card, unless you're fishing for a certain card, or you know, if you just want to spend the 4 mana, you cycle him and then unearth him and get in for 3 right away with that 4 mana. You know, obviously if you have Battledriver, that might be better. I don't know, it just depends. Just depends, like if you're searching for something specific. Otherwise, you know, you're 4 mana, you have one of these, just hard cast it. 4 mana, 2 Ogre Battledrivers. You know, it takes advantage of the really slightly token sub-theme with the Thrinax, the Mycoloth, and the Goblin Rabblemaster. So, I mean, it's just something they can't let live. Like, you know, even Wayfinders are coming as 3/1 hastes, little poor man's Hellspark Elementals. I mean, obviously, just giving an Inferno Titan haste is disgusting, as we saw in the Jeskai build. And, you know, even a Shadowborn, you know, blow something up, swinging for 7 in the air. But yeah, definitely a must-remove threat, and the reason why, again, opted for a rescue over another treasured find. It's, you know, rescue back something, and then whatever comes back with the Battledriver. Even, you know, rescue 2 Battledrivers, one in the grave, one in the field. Bring them both back. They're both going to buff each other. Okay, 4 drops, 4 drops. 1 Vengevince. Like I said, we have a slight graveyard sub-theme, you know. Milling him, generally, it's going to be hard to recur him from the battlefield. We only have 4 actual 2 drops, and then 5 actual 3-drop creatures. And then from there, it gets expensive. But, you know, generally, you know, if you draw him, he's going to be a lot better than the Bloodghast. Bloodghast can't block. This guy can still block. And it's still, you know, not too unreasonable to get him back. And, you know, if you're going in for lethal, just, you know, rescuing a Vengevince from the Underworld, I mean, you know, he doesn't have to wait to attack when he comes back. He has haste. So, I mean, that's 4 beefy damage right there. So that's why he's in there. Alright, the 5 drops. We got Shadowborn Demon. Because of the slight graveyard sub-theme or all the stuff we can sacrifice, he's generally going to stay on the battlefield. You're either going to have enough stuff to sacrifice, or there's going to be enough stuff in the grave already through cycling Viscera Draggers or putting shit in the grave with Satyr Wayfinder. So it's not going to be like one of those one-and-done sorcery speed, flesh to dust, and then you have to, you know, start fucking up your board to get rid of them. You know, just get rid of a Wayfinder, sacrifice a Thrinax, sacrifice a bunch of Mycoloth tokens, or Rabblemaster tokens if they're living. So, he's generally going to stay on the field. Alright, Flesh of Dust, went over that. Rescue, went over that. Those are the 5 drops we got. Stormbreath Dragon has haste, 4/4, protection from white. A lot of times he can just beat a heavy white deck all by himself. So, I like having him in there. Anything with protection, especially in the limited format such as Duels of the Planeswalkers, is very strong. The 2 Mycoloths, we already went over that. You generally just want to eat one guy, and you get a 6/6, cast a Krenko's command every turn. It's pretty good. And especially, you know, if you can haste him with Battledriver. Now, a thing you can do, I was trying to get the timing right on this. Now, this is like a 10 mana thing. This isn't really going to come up. So if you have 10 mana, you cast Rescue from the Underworld. So that will resolve first, since you cast it first. And then you cast Mycoloth, you know, eating something. So what should happen is that the rescue triggers will resolve first. So Ogre Battledriver will come back with whatever else. And then the Mycoloth triggers will resolve. So when it makes its tokens, like, it'll be shitting them out that turn rather than, you know, having to wait. But I know if you do it the opposite way, it won't work. The Mycoloth will make its tokens first, and then rescue will resolve with the Battledriver and all that. So, but that's just a little thing. Like I said, that's a 10 mana thing. That's not going to come up too often. And that's all the 5s. The 6, Inferno Titan. I mean, there's nothing really to be said about this guy. He'll just unanswered take over a game on his own, just win a game on his own. And even, just coming into play for 6 mana, you're going to Arc Lightning something. And then finally, at 7, we have Sheoldred. Like I said, we are putting a lot of stuff into the graveyard. She'll win a game on her own, and all that stuff you instantly put into the graveyard with Wayfinders or even cycling Viscera Daggers, and just bring them back. So, let's go over the mana real quick. Okay, so we're running 24. These are our mana sources: 14 forest, 15 swamp, 20 red mountains. Sorry. So I went with I have the least amount of swamps, because I have actually one less swamp than forest. So let's just go real quick. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 swamps, or 10 black sources. Then with green, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. 11 green sources. With red sources, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 14. So it's 10, 11, 14. Which we're looking at, 14, 15, 20. So that's how I broke it down. We have more red than anything. And so we're going to make sure all our tap lands contain red. And we have a generally even amount of black and green, but we generally need our green earlier than we need our black. So I just bumped up the green sources by 1 over the black. And that's basically how I came down. I didn't do any real math. I don't have any spreadsheets anywhere. It's kind of, I made my decision, okay, I'm 24 lands, I only want to play 8 tap lands. I don't want to play fucking 9 million tap lands. So how can I make this work with 8 tap lands? And really, like I said, we need fixing more than we need ramp. So we have the Wayfinders to get us there. And we're not running any triple color cost cards. So it's double at the most. And we only need double green, by turn 4. Only 1 card by turn 4, 2 cards by turn 5. We only need double red by turn 4, or 5, or 6. We only need double black by, 5, 5, and 7. So we do need, the single of each color, fairly early, depending on what you keep. But the doubles can wait. I mean, not forever, but it's not essential that you need double red by turn 3. You don't need double anything by turn 3. You need one of every color by turn 3 if you want to cast your Thrinax down. So hopefully I didn't ramble too much. I'm sorry I didn't really tell any jokes or anything like that. I just wanted to get this information out. I'm looking down on my computer. It's already 23 fucking minutes. So I'm not even going to get into why I didn't put in other shit. It's a Bloodghast I didn't put in. I didn't want to find I didn't want to find 2 slots for them. 2, I mean, they just don't block. I mean, they're okay. But I think a Vengevince, it's a shit ton harder to recur. I think you're just going to get more mileage out of the Vengevince, really. No Blocker Worms or Runescar Demons or Arbor Colossus or shit like that. No triple cost cards. And so we only have 1 7-drop and 1 6-drop. So I think that's why we can get away with not playing Cultivate. I don't have to dedicate 4 slots to Cultivate. We're more interested in fixing than we are in ramping. So we can just, kind of overload our removal spells and then, fairly resilient threats. And I think I touched why we're not running Tribute Hunger anymore. It's just fucking tokens everywhere. We do have 22 creatures. But the only way we're getting into the yard is if they're dying, or with the Wayfinder, or cycling the Viscera Dagger. So I didn't really want to put a Spider Spawning in there. Maybe, like I said, to me, the most open spot is this second Mycoloth. I think you want 1, but I think the second one's expendable. So, if you want to try something, like a Spider Spawning in that spot, I don't think it would be wrong. But, in the games I've played, most of the time I'm just looking at, 3 or 4 creature cards in my graveyard. And a lot of the time, 2 or 3 of those were put in by my opponent. And I just don't think Spider Spawning is going to be at its best in a build like this. I think Mycoloth would actually, be slightly better. That's obviously, my gut feeling, and, I've put this deck through its paces. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I tested this deck for a month or anything, but I definitely go out and, do a couple runs with this before I make these videos. So anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll get some gameplay up shortly. And, we'll do 3 episodes. Some of those episodes may just have 1 game. Some of those episodes may have 3 games. You don't know. We'll definitely do 3 episodes, and then we'll move on again. Alright, Internet. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.